So what are some of the ways that I've used astrology in relationships? Well, there's a lot. There's a lot. So I can give you so many. But let me just give you a couple of simpler ones. And yeah, let's see. There was a woman who knew that I did some form of astrology, and she had some preconceived ideas as to what it was. And of course, I had to begin to explain what makes what I do different and all of that. And when I got into talking to her, I said, well, it's really easy to look at somebody's chart and understand what's going to get them romantically interested. And she's like, well, can you do that with me? And I'm like, sure. I can tell you what your chart says about that. So I pull up her chart and I describe it. And she goes, okay, okay, that's enough. And I was like, well, what do you mean? She's like, yeah, that's how it works. That's what gets me interested. That's what gets guys to be like, that's what wins the guy over. If guys do that, then I become their girlfriend. And I'm like, yeah, exactly. It's like, how come nobody's talking about this? I know it's my gift. So that was one example. Another one was an example with another woman that she was navigating some exes and a divorce and all sorts of, and I said, well, yeah, let me look at your chart. So I explained to her chart. I said, here's how you get with guys. Here's how you move on from guys. And here's what guys need to do to really basically attract you. But also, here's what you're looking for in the partner and what you haven't really been able to find with a guy because this other thing happens. And I give her this elaborate explanation, and she's like, that's all right. Like my details, well, what I say is heavily specific. It's not generic stuff. Oh, you like somebody who's energetic. Oh, you like somebody who's fun. What are you talking about? In a certain form, everybody does. Those are way too generic statements. No, I'm giving specific things that somebody can do, to attract whoever's chart it is, for example. There was a guy who came to me and he was describing some relationship issue. And I said, look, let me just look at your chart. Like, why not? I'll be able to help you. I can pick it up from what he was saying, but I'm like, you got something in there that's either this or this could play out this way or that way. Let me look at the chart. And sure enough, what I thought was in there was in there. And I said to him, well, here's the energy of what's moving you into the relationship. And then when this happens in the relationship, you want to get out or far away. Then the woman does this, which then leads to the relationship ending. And then you're back to this other thing and it creates this cycle. And he starts smiling. I can't even do it because it's that, ooh, you see inside and the whole, you see behind the curtain. And it's like, I know you. I know what you do. I know how the dynamic works. What do we do with it? I was able to pinpoint some very specific things that we needed to do. These are examples of when it comes to attracting and finding a partner. Then there's so much in the dynamic of the relationship. See, what do other people talk about when they dive into relationship astrology? They think about compatibility, and I don't even want to use that word because what's called synastry in astrology, other people sometimes refer to it as compatibility, and it's not. It's how you perceive your partner and how your partner perceives you. And when you understand that and you can relate to your partner, when you put the relate back in the relationship, that's the whole point. You want to put the relate back in, then you actually can understand how to communicate more effectively with your partner, how to relate more effectively to your partner, how to spiritually, mentally, emotionally, and physically. And so without getting into too much of the complexity, because if I'm helping you, I'm going to take all that complexity and give you simplicity. I'm going to state simplicity to you so you can apply it. So then it's how do you actually relate? And then a third level of that. So there's finding a partner, there's relating to your partner, and then there's navigating the day to day. So finding your partner, we're going to use what's called your natal chart. in a very unique way, that what I call the fifth to seventh house transition. And there's a few other things in there. And there's a lot in there, actually. And then the labels that are used on the relationship side is called synastry and composite. But again, what I just explained to you about synastry, it's a more than this word compatibility. It's looking at how you perceive each other. And then when it comes to the day to day, we're actually using transits and progressions. Those are the terms, but in a way you probably haven't heard of, in a way that actually looks at what energy is being awakened, what cycle is being triggered, so that we can then do something with it. So I have the work that I do what I call create, relate, navigate. And in that, there's the map, the mind, and the method. And so the map is all about the astrology, but then there's things that we do within the mind, balancing out perceptions. And then there's specific method that then brings the result of that into the physical. So anyway, my point is there's a lot that I do differently with astrology in terms of relationships, from finding a partner to navigating the relationship. If you want to know more about it, then I'll leave a link in the description and you can take a look. Okay. With that, we'll talk to you soon. Take care.